Hello everyone, I'm here with Matthew Nass, or also called Matt Nass. I don't know if you have like any other nicknames.
No, I think Matt Nass is the thing I most commonly get called by Magic players. Yeah.
For people who don't know, Matt is part of Channel Fireball for a long time, currently in Rivals League. He was also in the MPL League. I think you have one Pro Tour top 8, maybe the information on the internet is outdated with Marvel. And you have 5 GP wins with 12 top 8s. But you're mostly known for being like the combo master. Let's get to that later. So a couple of people told me that, I'm interviewing all these Magic people and I like ask them the same things like about Magic and stuff. So I thought that maybe I should focus a little bit more about like who you are besides Magic. I asked you a little bit before this interview. You said that you like to play sports like basketball, soccer, and stuff like that. So if before we start talking about Magic, if you can just like say something about your personal life, what you like to do and stuff like that, that would be great.
Magic is obviously like a pretty big part of my life, as it is for most Magic players. So I think a lot of us have trouble answering these type of questions. But I do really like sports. In high school, I played a lot of tennis. Was on the team, and then I'm sorry
to interrupt. I also played tennis. I just want to know how good you are. Are you still playing until to this day?
No, I play occasionally, but I kind of stopped after high school for the most part. I was decent. I didn't make the varsity team in high school, but I think maybe I should have. I don't know.
Did you play? Did you play any tournaments in tennis, or was it just like mostly for fun and in school and stuff like that?
I played in a club, so we would play against other clubs, but that was it. So and then I was on the like JV high school team, so we played against other high schools. But our team was really good, and so like. Yeah, I didn't make the varsity team, but then like in the JV team, I played doubles, and I think we basically never lost. Like,
nice.
It was kind of stupid, but yeah.
So you're not really active in tennis nowadays, but you do play a lot of basketball and soccer. Obviously now with Corona, but besides that, you play a lot.
Yeah, I was playing. Yeah, me and I play soccer with Raptor, just in like a local league or whatever. But I'm pretty bad at soccer. Raptor's really good. And then, although I think by the end, because we had been playing for like a couple of years, so by the end I was getting, decent. And then, but I never like played soccer. When I was 5, I played or something, but from 10 to 20 or something, I never played soccer. And then basketball, I play a lot, but somehow I never really learned to shoot in basketball. So I'm really good like at, rebounding and defense and passing, I think, and I'm pretty good at scoring like close to the basket. Like people often say I play like old man basketball, like creative ways to score it close. But I think if I wanted to be like actually good at basketball, I'd need to like shoot from further away better. So
is it like a regular thing to play soccer in States? Because you call football a different sport than we do, so like there is this like tension because we call football soccer and Americans don't. So like I actually thought that soccer wasn't really popular in States. Is that not the case?
I think it's really popular to play when you're like 5 to 10, and then like as a kid, whatever, and then at some point. Yeah, I think it's like certainly less watched, right? Like, compared to NBA or NFL, the MLS is like nothing, right?
I see.
Even hockey's probably bigger, even NHL is probably bigger. But yeah, I think it's, and then as an adult, I think people play less as well, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not really important. I just think it's interesting.
No,
it's like one of the biggest sports in Europe, right? So
I think around the world it's one of the biggest. Like in South America too, it's obviously huge. And
So when I ask you what you like to do, you were talking about the sports, but you also mentioned that you like to play other games, like League of Legends, maybe the new Hearthstone and stuff like that. I always thought it was like interesting that like the very competitive Magic players have time to also like play the other games. I just always thought that if you want to play game, you would play Magic, but maybe that's not the case for you. If you can just like talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. So I think for me and for some other Magic players, it's kind of weird, but once Magic becomes like your job, you almost don't want to do it for fun as much. Like, and it definitely depends on the person. Like, there's extreme cases, like maybe Paulo or something. Sometimes, like, really like gets burnt out if he plays too much Magic or like really doesn't want to. And then there's some people who can just play, 10 hours a day of Magic nonstop, whether there's a big tournament coming up or not. So I'm probably somewhere in the middle, but I.
Is that a case for you to certain degree that you perceive Magic more as a job and you don't enjoy it as much?
I mean, it depends. Like I like playing, but at this point I get more enjoyment from the people than from the game itself, I think. Like, which is why like I've kind of lost a decent amount of motivation during COVID, because I still test with the team and we're like, on a Discord call or something, but it's not the same as like getting a conference room a week before a Pro Tour and just hanging out for a week straight and playing. That to me was like the most fun thing. And then the tournaments themselves are also less fun because you don't get to like hang out with your friends in between rounds.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So we started talking about Magic a little bit. I'm asking this question basically everyone, but I think it's like the most obvious thing that I should ask about. If you can just like talk about your beginnings, how you started playing Magic, what's the story with Madness becoming the combo master, and like if you can just like talk about yourself for a little bit, that would be great.
Yeah. So I learned how to play in middle school from like just a random friend who just like I went to his house one day and he showed me his cards, and then I think he was like, he wasn't casual, but he wasn't like super into it, and then from there, me and my best friend at the time got pretty into it, went to F&M every week at some point, which was like sealed. And then at some point we were, playing infinite F&M, and then the people at the F&M said, hey, you should start playing tournaments, we'll loan you a deck or whatever. And I played regionals, and I think I did decently well there. I think I went like X2, so I like missed top 8, but it proved that I could at least, hang to some degree. And then I started playing JSS, which to me it's a tragedy that JSS doesn't still exist. I guess it probably wasn't.
What is JSS?
I think it was US only, probably.
What is JSS? I don't know.
Or maybe it was canceled before you got into Magic, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's Junior Super Series is what it stood for. And it's like there was like around the US there were tournaments that you could only play if you were 18 or under, or at one point I think it was 15 or under, whatever it was, a certain age, and they would give out scholarship money. And it was super good, and a lot of the US pros you see today like came from JSS. So I thought it was a great way to because I think for a lot of parents, when they're like 13, 15-year-old kid is trying to get into Magic, it's pretty intimidating to like take them to an F&M and see a bunch of 30-something guys for whatever the ages, and like just drop them off and leave there, right, or whatever. But if you see a tournament where it's all like kids or teens or whatever, I think it's like a much better atmosphere, and also the earning scholarship money is like a pretty good selling point. And so I thought that was a really good program, and the prizes in it were like crazy high. So one thing I wonder about is like if they were too high and then it became like something that like needed to be cut from the budget. But it was like, but I don't think it needed to be that high. Like I think even, it was like thousands of dollars even for winning like a local one or something in scholarships. And it's like that, I think that could have been like $500, and that still would have been a really good selling point to parents. And then maybe the champs could have been smaller as well. But yeah, I wish they didn't cut that program. But anyways, so that's how I kind of got into Magic. And then, the friend who I was playing with kind of stopped or didn't get as hooked as me, I guess. But I just kept playing more and more tournaments, regionals. I remember I top four. You had to top 4 regionals to queue for nationals, and I top 4'd with Kavu Predator, Fiery Justice when the Project X deck was really popular, the like infinite life gain combo. So they would gain an infinite life.
Can you maybe explain how it worked for people who don't know?
Yeah. So Kavu Predator is when your opponent gains life, he gets that many counters, and then Fiery Justice deals 5 damage divided as you choose, and your opponent gains 5. So it was like a good removal spell, and then it just gave your guy +5/+5 as soon as turn 3, because the Kavu is a 2-drop.
Yeah.
So then other people were playing this like infinite life combo deck, but then if they gained infinite life, my guy would become an infinite trample.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
It was a cool.
Did that actually happen during the tournament?
Yeah. I think
Nice.
I think even in the top 8, I played against that deck, and I won because of it. So that was super satisfying. So that was my first big break. So then that year I got to play the junior championship and the national championship because they were always in the same place.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. Then
we're talking like 15 years back, right? Or maybe even more.
Yeah, I'm trying to think when this would have been.
Because I played for a very long time, but I still don't really remember this time, so it has to be a long time ago.
Yeah, maybe 2007 or 8 or something.
Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I was PTQing a bunch, and then I started making top 8s at PTQs pretty consistently. But
were the PTQs hard where you grew up?
Yeah. So when I first started PTQing, people were always talking about how the PTQs basically have 7 slots because there's this one guy who's just always going to make top 8. It's just a foregone conclusion. That was LSV. But then there was also, and then I think pretty soon after I started PTQing, he was just on the train, qualified for everything. So then I didn't have to worry about him. But there was David Ochoa, Josh Hutter-Layton, Sam Pardee, Jacob Wilson, Shahar Shenhar.
Wow.
It was a pretty tough area for sure. So,
did you manage to win any of those, or how did you qualify for the first time?
I don't think I actually ever won a live PTQ. So yeah, there was a long stretch where I was making top 8s, and then in the fairies season, I remember at one point I even got back-to-back second places, which was heartbreaking. And then eventually I played a Moto PTQ, which at the time were huge. It was 500 people. It was Zendikar sealed. I make top 8, and then I'm waiting for the top 8 to start because I was totally locked for it. I was 10-1 in the Swiss or whatever. And then I'm just waiting there. And then at some point I'm this is taking a while, and I look, and the time in my Moto screen is different than the time in my computer. My computer says it's 11 o'clock, but Moto says it's 10:30.
That's usually not a good sign.
Yeah, so I quickly hit Control-Delete, restart Moto, whatever, and I'm basically all the way through pack 1 random picking.
Oh shit!
So I have
won anyway.
Yeah, so I have a couple random red cards, and then I just force mono red, which was a decent archetype. And I'm well, I have to. But obviously, playing monocolor when you're already down a pack is pretty dicey because you're gonna be short playable. So I'm playing some bad cards and way more lands than a mono red aggro deck should, and all this. Game 1 I lose. Game 2 my opponent snap keeps 7, and I mulled a 4. So I'm this PTQ must be over. And then somehow my opponent kept a 1-lander. Never draws a second land, and I actually have a perfect draw for a 4-card hand, and then from there I just win every game and win the PTQ.
Wow, that's crazy.
So that's my first PTQ win, and fortunately because I'm in the Bay Area and I had made friends with some of the Channel Fireball people, I get to test with them for Pro Tour San Diego, which is the first Pro Tour of 2010. So I'm testing with them for that. That's where Luis went 16-0 with the like Naya.
Oh, I remember. It played like Stoneforge Mystic with like the Basilisk color for like the Cunning Spark Mage kind of a deck.
Yep, that's the deck. So I played that deck too at that PT, but the week before that PT, there was a GP in the same area. And then that was GP Oakland.
Oh, was it the one that you won with Elves?
Yeah, which I won with Elves. So right before my first PT, I win the GP a week before.
Wow.
With Elves, which was like, maybe my favorite deck. I had like already won a 5K like a few weeks earlier in Standard with Elves, so I just loved Elves. I don't know. And then, then I win this GP, and I'm actually first in not only Rookie of the Year, but Player of the Year standings.
Wow.
Because it's just the first tournament of the year.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And then I'm queued for this PT, and now I'm queued for the next one. And if I can, and like at the time, GP win was 10 points, and if you got to 15 points, it was kind of like silver now, or not now, because now there's nothing. But where you could get one more invite, so it was very likely I'd be qualified for everything. But at the time, I had like no clue what I was doing in draft, and like hadn't really, learned. Like I wasn't really ready to be like a Pro Tour mainstay, I guess. So I just got destroyed at like everything I played. And so I had to get 1 extra point to get the silver equivalent. I got that, but then I had to get like 3 more points to get the gold equivalent. It was 20 points at the time, and I didn't get that. So over the whole course of the year, besides the first GP win, I got like 2 or 3 extra points. Like I wasn't, putting up finishes at almost anything.
Nice.
I remember I went like 4-1-0-3 in draft at PTs pretty often, and then missed day 2 because of that, or like things like that. It was because at the time you had to go 5-3, not just 4-4 to make day 2.
But were you basically like, since that point, were you always kind of on the gravy train, or was there like a point where you have fallen off and you had to like climb back again?
Yeah, I fell off one time. So yeah, I missed one PT that year. I missed Worlds, and then for like a few years, I think I missed nothing. And then I guess, around 2013, I missed again. At various points, I was trying to juggle school and Magic, which was pretty hard. So I think I was doing worse partially because of that. And then also in 2013, my dad passed away. So I was just doing tough because of that. So,
sorry.
Well, yeah, it's okay. But yeah, so one way or another, through like a combination of things, I like wasn't playing my best Magic, fell off the train. And then that was when Team GP started. And that's kind of what got me back on the train.
When I went on Wikipedia, it's you won 5 GPs, but I think 2 of them are Team GPs, right?
Yeah. So I won 2 Team GPs. I almost won a 3rd one, but I won. The first one I won was with Jesse Hampton and Jacob. My like default squad is Jacob and Sam Pardee, but Sam couldn't make it, so we played with Jesse. And then Jesse got his full connection was snowed in, so the tournament was in Nashville, but he was in Charlotte, which is like a 10-hour drive away. And it was but there was a snowstorm, so they canceled his flight. So then he just rented a car, drove through a snowstorm through the night so that he could make it. So he got there like as we were building decks. So we just let him sleep, built decks without him. Barely made day 2. We went like 7-2, and then we 6-0'd day 2 or whatever, and then 3-0'd.
Wow.
Top 8. So Jesse
he basically didn't sleep, right?
Yeah, he didn't sleep before day 1. He just drove. He had also he's from Seattle where it doesn't really snow, so he had never drove in snow before.
Did you guys just give him like an aggro deck so that he didn't have to think about it, or like what happened there?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. He's also just a crazy person. I don't know how well you know Jesse.
I don't really know him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just he at one point he's like playing green blue, and he asked Jacob if he should board in the like green red life gain land against aggro just to gain life, even though it comes into play tab. And he's like, and then also in top 8 it was Cons of Tarkir, and he like as soon as he opens his first pack, he asks, "Is it keep what you draft?" As if he wants to like rare draft something. It's like, why are you trying to rare draft in the top 8 of a GP or top 4 of a GP? And it was a format with fetch lands, right, that are like pretty valuable but not very good and limited. So it made it pretty obvious that there was a fetch land in the pack. But that's Jesse. But yeah, so we won that. then we did well at a bunch. Team was definitely like pretty kind to me.
Mm-hmm. You have 5 GP wins, but only like 1 Pro Tour win. I don't actually know if you were like doing all right on the Pro Tours, but maybe just didn't make top 8s. But I just wanted to ask about it because there are people like that, right? Who just like crush GPs and don't really do that well at Pro Tours, myself included. What do you think is the reason behind that?
Yeah, I think it's a mix. Definitely early in my career, I wasn't very good at drafting, so that really hurt me at PTs. So yeah, even when I did well in constructed, I like wouldn't convert for that reason. And then later on, I don't know, it's partially random, like I have some. I don't think I have a ton of top 16s even. I think I have like maybe 1 or maybe 2. But I have pretty decent PT results, I think, of like consistently, top 50 and stuff like that. Like I had some seasons where I didn't have insane GP results and I still like, got pretty close to plat or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think I don't have like a straight answer. I think part of it is, like I think I'm, pretty good at Magic in general, but I'm like only like truly elite with combo decks, and Pro Tours were like more often standard maybe, and when they were modern, maybe there wasn't a good combo deck that much of the time or whatever it was. But yeah, I think like the format definitely like affects how good I am pretty meaningfully too. So.
Yeah, that's the next thing that I wanted to ask about. I think that's the thing that people want to hear about the most. You're considered to be like one of the best combo players out there. Is that maybe because that's what you spend your time the most on, or you just think that you're like naturally talented to do that? It's not very common that you have a combo master, right? Most people are like, maybe like aggro masters or control masters because you have these archetypes in every format, but it's not necessarily the case with combo. It's just like basically playing a different game with magic cards. You're just like solving a puzzle. So it just seems kind of weird that someone is like that, but you are. So I just wanted to ask about that. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I think part of it is like I'm more of a lot of Magic players, I guess, have kind of a mathy background, but I'm maybe a little more than average. So yeah, those mathy, puzzle-y type things fit me pretty well. But yeah, other than that, I don't have like a great explanation. For whatever reason, it seems to like click in my brain a little better.
But like, are you playing the other archetypes the same amount, but you just like are better at combo and you don't really know why? Or is it more that you just played more of combo? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a combination. Like I enjoy playing those decks, so then I play them more, and then I do well with them when I do play them, so then that makes me want to play them more as well. So yeah, like certainly when I'm on a testing team, if it looks like there might be a viable combo deck, I'm going to be the one to try it because that just makes sense. But it's not like it's not like I like, play so little of the other stuff. Like I'm still playing more with normal decks than with combo decks just because, so much more of Magic, especially when it's focused on standard, is going to be about the normal decks. So I don't have a great explanation. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily expected you to explain it, but I kind of felt like I had to ask about it, so I did.
Yeah. No,
you won 2 GPs. I think they were even maybe back to back with KCI. Were you actually maybe the person who kind of invented the deck? Like, I think it existed, but it wasn't really on the radar. Everyone thought it was kind of bad. Maybe it was because it was built wrongly or something. Can you just maybe talk about KCI a little bit, because you're kind of connected to the deck?
Yeah. So KCI kind of exists on the fringes for a long time. When Scrap Trawler came out, there was like a little bit of talk about it, and then there was some Pro Tour where Shaheen Sarani played it and did pretty well. I don't know if anyone else played it or who he tested with, but he played it, and we had actually tested it for that PT, but I played one league with it, went 4-1, and I'm like, this seems pretty good, but the combo is like really annoying to do, so I'm just on Magic Online, so I'm just not going to bother with it. So we actually just dismissed it after one league. It just, even though it seemed like it had potential. But yeah, then Shaheen went like 7-3 at the Pro Tour or whatever, some pretty good record. And so then we're like, okay, let's try this again now that we've like seen Shaheen's list and whatever. So me, Sam, and Andrew Beckstrom, who are now roommates. I think at the time it was just me and Sam were roommates, but BK Andrew would like come over most days and
I see
play with us anyways, because we all worked at the same place and whatever. So we would play with it a bunch and work on it and tweak it. And then at some point Ben White's also got involved, even though he doesn't live in the area, and he worked on it some as well. And we just kept making it better and better. And then over the course of that, there were, various GPs. So the first one was Phoenix, where we played like a decent list. I think we improved on Shaheen's list some, but we didn't have it all the way right. And then I top 8 at that. And then I like won the next 2 GPs, Hartford and Vegas. So that was like a crazy stretch. Then I missed top 8 at 1. And then I like top 8 at another one, and then I top 8 at another one after that.
Wow.
So it was like, I forget if it was 4 out of 5 top 8s I think it was 4 out of 5 top 8s and 2 wins. Yeah.
It just seems kind of crazy to me that the deck was like out there for like, pretty long time, but at the beginning, not that many people are playing it, not that many people were doing well with it, and then it became like this like busted deck that like no matter what people did, it was just like busted anyway. Was there just like some key component that people weren't playing at the beginning, or you just think that people were playing it badly, or I don't really understand how it happened?
Mostly people were playing it badly, I think. Like the deck, like slowly over time, the deck improved and got like small tweaks, like you don't need to play a stupid Emrakul in the deck. That's certainly like one of my biggest pet peeves in general with combo decks is playing win conditions that aren't like functional cards in your deck. Like the more all your cards can just be at least decent, and then you just figure out some way to win the game, the better. So that definitely improved, but the deck was just really, really hard to play. Like not only did you have like a lot of deck specific knowledge, you want to be aware of all the loops and stuff like that, but it was also just hard to play separate from that, hard to sequence with, etc. And so one way or another, it was just really tough. But it did improve over time, things like cutting the Emrakul, tightening up that. People found different sideboard cards that were a little better, different plans, like more removal heavy so that you could actually beat humans, things like that. At some point, people had Spine of Ishsaw, which helped you beat like Leyline of the Void. And so like it did slowly get better and better over time. But I think like 90% of it was, at the beginning, there were only a few people who had a lot of hours with the deck. And then by the end, there were a lot of people who did.
So at the beginning of our talk, you said that Magic is mostly about people for you nowadays, and now that we have Corona, we don't have any live tournaments, everything is played online. You may be not playing as much, and you're also working as a game designer. So I wanted to ask about like how much are you actually playing Magic right now? Are you still playing a lot, or what's going on?
Yeah, not a ton. I try to play a decent amount before each like tournament I have. So 2 weeks from now is the next like Rivals League weekend thing. So yeah, our deck lists are due in 9 days now. So now I'll probably like play a bunch for the next week so that we can figure out what to play. But in the gaps, so we have like the way the schedule works right now, the Rivals have like one big tournament a month basically. They either have a league weekend or the Pro Tour equivalents, I guess the set championships. And so before any of those events, like the week before decks are due, a couple weeks before decks are due, I'll play a decent amount. But otherwise, I'm not playing a ton. I'm either working or playing other games and whatever.
You said you're working, and I already mentioned it a little bit. You work as a game designer, if I'm not mistaken. I actually remember we tested together for 2 Pro Tours, and in Kyoto, you actually like gave me your phone and like try out my game. I don't know if you remember or not, but we were like waiting for this food with Jacob Wilson.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I actually played one of your games. Can you just maybe talk about your work a little bit? You said that you work with Raptor right now, but I think that maybe you worked at a different place before. If you can just talk about your work as a game designer.
Yeah, so yeah, I started working as a game designer how many years ago? 5? More than 5?
Don't ask me, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe 6 years ago. I don't know, something like that. And yeah, I worked at Direwolf Digital, where a bunch of Magic players have worked over the Luis, Chapin, P. Sully, Raptor, Sam Pardee, Andrew Beckstrom, Brandon Nelson, Michael Jacob. A million Magic players have worked there. And so yeah, I got a job there. Through I guess mostly Luis, and then yeah, I really liked it, and yeah, I worked on a few games. I worked on Elder Scrolls Legends, which is like kind of closer to Hearthstone. It's like a direct attacking game, and then we also have a game Eternal, which is maybe a little closer to Magic. And I also worked on some board games like Clank, which is really, really popular and really fun. I would definitely recommend it to people who haven't played it.
For people like me and the people who watch, we don't really know what does your like every day look like, right? Like you say that you work on the game, but like we don't really imagine anything. So like, are you trying to figure out how like so that the cards maybe aren't overpowered, or like what's going on there?
Yep. Yeah. So it's a mix. You wear a lot of different hats, which is one of the things that I enjoy about it. So yeah, definitely a big part of it is balance, and we want to make sure that the cards are, fair. Nothing's too good. We don't want to print Okos and Uros and whatnot. Another part of it is making sure the cards are fun, right? You want to make sure that they're fun to play with, and that they're fun to play against, or at least not too unfun to play against. Don't want to make Uros and Okos. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So those are like the worst case, because I think they're unfun to play against and very powerful, right? Mm-hmm. But like Goldspan Dragon or whatever is a powerful card, but it's not unfun to play against. So, that's probably a good card to be the best card in the set. So that's like a small part of what you're thinking about. Then there's also like, especially for a digital game, but probably for physical games as well, there's also like all the other things that go into the game, right? What should each screen look like? When I press Magic Arena, I go to some screen. What should be on that screen?
Oh, I see.
What's the tutorial like? How do we want to teach someone how to play the game? I think a lot of games do a bad job on tutorials because they try to explain the game in too much detail. They talk too much about the rules instead of like getting you into a game as quickly as possible and making it so that you have fun. Like, because for example, it turns out that like however many players you have who's open your game, half of them will quit in the first hour or something like that, right? So you have to make them have fun in that short amount of time. So that's the type of thing that you might think about that like is pretty far away from balancing cards. And then so for me right now, I'm working basically at a startup. Me, Josh Layton, and Matt Place, who used to work at he used to work on Magic and work on Hearthstone, and he also has a PT Top 8 from way back in the day, like 1996 PT Top 8
That's
or something. That's
a long time ago.
Yeah. So the three of us kind of started a mini game company.
Is it just you three guys, or is there someone else as well?
We hired a couple other people who aren't don't have PT Top 8s, but they both play Magic casually at least as well. John, and then this guy from Spain, Ruben, and then we also like contract out, like we need illustrations for all our cards and stuff, and we contract that out. So we're working with a few different people, but because we're making our own thing, there's even more different hats to wear and different jobs to do. Like, we're trying to make a trailer from our game. So we're talking to some, you know,
the game is
contractor.
like already in existence. You can already play it.
It's not out yet. Like, the public can't play it, but it exists. And there's like, we have a very small beta, like 30 people. And then soon, hopefully, maybe in the next couple of weeks even, we'll try to go to a few hundred people, like friends and stuff like that. Like if you wanted to play, you could, for example. Yeah, you're key. And then we'll go to 300, then we'll, you know, slowly build that up, and then we'll open it up. But, you know, before that happens, we want to have a trailer ready for when we do launch. So we have to talk to, you know, the person we're using for that is in South Africa. So we have to like talk with them and to describe what we want and set up meetings. And there's a bunch of, you know, different stuff to do.
One thing that I'm curious about when you're like have like this small company, you like figure out how you want the game to look like, what should be the rules, you make all the cards, but then there like needs to be a programmer who just like programs it so that it actually works. But those programmers don't necessarily play games. Is that like a big deal to explain to them everything, like, or like is that a hard process?
Yes, it's really, really bad if your programmer doesn't play games.
I see.
Like, and yeah, I don't know if this is accurate, but that is something that I've heard at like WotC was an issue in the past. I think they've improved it quite a bit, but they would sometimes hire programmers who weren't gamers, and I think it's a big mistake. And at Direwolf, where I worked before, all the programmers we hired like games, and I think they were better because of it. And the programmers we have right now, Raptor is a programmer, is one of them. So he plays games.
Yeah, he does.
And then the other programmer we hired, John, is also a big gamer. And I think the way it works for a game company is that like if someone's just like making a fantasy illustration or something like that, like we're contracting an illustrator, it probably doesn't matter if they play games. You know, if we tell them make a cool, you know,
elf or whatever,
make a cool looking elf or whatever. Yeah, it's cool. It's better if they do on the margin, but because then we can explain, for example, we're going to crop this out to show up on a card. So make this look good on a card, and they might understand that better or something, but it doesn't really matter. But if someone's programming the game, they're just way more likely to understand stuff if they play games themselves. So,
aren't you worried about the fact that you're gonna make a game that's like kind of like Magic, because you're all Magic players, right? So there has to be some crossover, or like you're definitely influenced by that. Isn't that the case?
Yeah. So first of all, there are worse things than making a game that's similar to Magic, because Magic's really fun. But the game we're making is pretty different, I would say. It's an auto battler, so it's like TFT or Dota Underlords or Hearthstone Battlegrounds or one of those where you just recruit stuff and it fights automatically.
I see.
So it's pretty different. We're still definitely going to be inspired from Magic. We've all played a lot of Magic, and we all love it. But hopefully we'll also be drawing inspiration from the other games we play and coming up with some new stuff that is
All right. I think I've asked everything I wanted to ask. Thanks a lot for your time. I wish you the best with the new game, and
thanks.
Also, if you guys like the video, please click on the like and subscribe button. I forgot to say that.
Nice.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.